3 minutes ago, Eric Swalwell did what everyone's been waiting for someone to do. He didn't ask politely. He didn't dance around the issue. He didn't use careful political language designed to avoid making waves. He looked Kash Patel directly in the eye and said the name that nobody in Washington wants to connect to those files: Trump. And then he demanded answers about Epstein. Watch this video until the end, because when you see the expression on Patel's face, everything will become clear. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story is just beginning, and I want you to be the first to know about every development. Let me set the scene. Senate Intelligence Committee, closed-door session that got moved to open session at the last minute, which should have been everyone's first clue that something unusual was coming. Swalwell had requested the change himself, said the American people deserved to see this. Now we know why. Patel walked in with his usual confidence. 3 lawyers, 2 aides, that walk he does, you know the one. Shoulders back, chin up, the "I've survived worse than you" stride. He's done dozens of these hearings. He knows how to handle hostile questions. He knows how to run out the clock. He wasn't prepared for Swalwell. The first 40 minutes were standard. Intelligence budget questions, counterterrorism updates, some back and forth about surveillance protocols. Patel handled it fine, gave his usual non-answers, checked his watch twice, looked bored. Then Swalwell took the microphone. "Director Patel, I want to talk about the Epstein files." Patel's expression didn't change. He's heard this before. He has his standard responses ready. "Of course, Senator, as I've stated in previous testimony." "I'm not interested in your previous testimony." Swalwell opened a folder, red, thick, tabbed with colored markers. "I'm interested in what you haven't told us." The room shifted. You could feel it. That change in energy when everyone realizes something is about to happen. "Specifically," Swalwell continued, "I want to know why every document in the Epstein files that references Donald Trump has been reclassified since you became FBI director." Dead silence. I've been in quiet rooms before. This was different. This was the silence of 50 people simultaneously holding their breath. Patel's face went through 3 expressions in about 2 seconds: surprise, anger, and then the mask. That practiced political mask that says, "I'm in control." "Senator, I'm not aware of any reclassification specifically targeting documents related to any individual." "You're not aware?" Swalwell pulled out a document. "This is an internal FBI memo dated March 15th of this year, 3 months after you took office. It directs the Classification Review Board to conduct an expedited review of all Epstein-related documents that contain references to current government officials and their associates." He held it up for the cameras. "It's signed by your deputy director. Are you telling me you didn't know about this?" Patel glanced at his lawyers. They had nothing. No note being passed, no whispered advice. He was on his own. "Senator, classification reviews are routine procedures that—" "There's nothing routine about this." Swalwell's voice rose, not shouting yet, but close. 23 documents that were previously cleared for release have been reclassified since you took office. 23. And every single one of them contains references to Donald Trump. He leaned forward. "That's not a coincidence, Director. That's a pattern." Here's where it got explosive. Patel tried to pivot, tried to make it about politics, tried to paint Swalwell as a partisan attacker. "Senator, I find it disappointing that members of this committee continue to pursue politically motivated." "Politically motivated?" Swalwell laughed. Not a real laugh, the sharp, bitter kind. "Director Patel, I'm not the one who reclassified documents to protect the former president. You are. I'm not the one who took an oath to uphold the law and then buried evidence. You did." His voice was rising now. You could see the anger building. "Do you know what's in those documents, Director? Do you know what the American people would see if you actually released them?" Patel's jaw tightened. "Senator, I'm not going to speculate about classified—" "Then let me help you." Swalwell pulled out another document. "This is a summary, unclassified summary, of witness testimony from 2019. A woman who worked at Epstein's Palm Beach residence. She gave 14 names of men she personally witnessed with underage girls at that property." He looked at Patel. One of those names was Donald Trump. The room exploded. Not literally, but close. Gasps from the gallery, reporters scrambling for their phones, committee members looking at each other with expressions ranging from shock to, finally, someone said it. Patel tried to respond. Senator, that testimony has been thoroughly reviewed and what? Classified? Hidden? Buried? Swalwell was on his feet now, actually standing. I've never seen a senator stand up during a hearing like that. The FBI had this testimony for 6 years. 6 years! And instead of investigating it, instead of following up, instead of doing your job, you reclassified it, he pointed at Patel. You didn't protect national security. You protected Donald Trump, and everyone in this room knows it. This is the part that's going to be everywhere by tonight. Swalwell picked up a photograph, large, color. He held it up so everyone could see, including the cameras. Do you recognize this photo, Director Patel? It was Trump and Epstein, that famous photo from Mar-a-Lago in 1997, both of them smiling, both of them looking like old friends, because they were. This photo has been in the public domain for years, Swalwell said. Everyone's seen it, but what people haven't seen are the 37 other photos from that same event, photos that are currently sitting in FBI evidence storage, photos that you have refused to release. He set the photo down. What's in those photos, Director? What are you hiding? Patel was sweating now, actually sweating. You could see it on his forehead under the hearing room lights. Senator, the release of evidence photos involves complex considerations regarding privacy, ongoing investigations, and there is no ongoing investigation. Swalwell slammed his hand on the desk. The microphone jumped. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is in prison. The investigation is over. The only reason to keep those photos classified is because someone powerful doesn't want them released. He stared at Patel. And we both know who that someone is. Now, I need to pause for a second and say this. If you've watched this far and this content is valuable to you, please like the video. I'm serious. This isn't just for me. It's important for YouTube to show this video to more people. And write your thoughts in the comments. We need to grow this conversation. 20 seconds of silence. In congressional hearings, 20 seconds is an eternity. It's the witness admitting they have no answer. It's the moment everyone watching realizes they're seeing something historic. Patel sat there, frozen. His lawyers were useless. His prepared responses were useless. Everything he'd rehearsed was useless against someone willing to actually say what everyone else only whispers. Finally, he spoke. His voice was quieter now, defensive. Senator, I categorically reject any implication that the FBI has acted to protect any individual, regardless of their political position. Our classification decisions are based solely on legitimate national security and law enforcement considerations. Swalwell shook his head slowly. Director Patel, let me tell you what I see. I see an FBI director who was appointed by Donald Trump, who owes his career to Donald Trump, who has spent the last 11 months systematically burying evidence that connects Donald Trump to a convicted sex trafficker. He gathered his documents. That's not law enforcement, that's obstruction. And I promise you, I promise the American people, this committee will get to the bottom of it, even if I have to subpoena every document in that building myself. The hearing technically continued after that. Other senators asked other questions, something about cybersecurity, something about foreign interference. Nobody cared. Nobody was listening. Because the only thing anyone could think about was what Swalwell had just said, out loud, on camera, on the record. Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files, and Kash Patel has been hiding it. Within minutes, clips were everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Cable news interrupted regular programming. Legal analysts were already debating whether Patel had committed obstruction of justice. And somewhere, in FBI headquarters, staffers were probably scrambling to figure out how to respond to questions that nobody was supposed to ask. I need to stop here and explain why this matters so much. For years, people have speculated about what's in the Epstein files, who else was involved, which powerful people have been protected. It's been the subject of conspiracy theories, Reddit investigations, and countless late-night conversations. But speculation is different from evidence. And what Swalwell just did was present evidence. Actual documents, actual memos, actual witness testimony that names names. And the name that keeps coming up? The name that keeps getting protected? The name that every reclassified document seems to orbit around? Trump. I'm not saying Trump is guilty of anything. That's not my job. My job is to tell you what happened in that hearing room. And what happened is that a United States senator presented evidence that the FBI has been systematically protecting the former president from evidence connecting him to Jeffrey Epstein. If that doesn't concern you, I don't know what will. Here's what happens next. Swalwell announced that the committee will be issuing subpoenas for all 23 reclassified documents. He's demanding a closed-door briefing with the Classification Review Board. He's called for an inspector general investigation into Patel's handling of Epstein-related evidence. Will any of it happen? I don't know. Washington has a way of burying things. People forget. New scandals emerge, the news cycle moves on. But this clip isn't going away. That photo of Trump and Epstein isn't going away. And the question Swalwell asked, "What are you hiding?" isn't going away either. Patel has to respond. He has to explain why 23 documents were reclassified. He has to explain why all of them involve Trump. He has to look the American people in the eye and tell them that this is all just coincidence. Good luck with that. I keep replaying that moment. Swalwell standing up, pointing at Patel, saying what everyone's been thinking for years, but nobody in power has been willing to say. You protected Donald Trump, and everyone in this room knows it. That's not politics. That's an accusation. And accusations like that don't disappear. They hang in the air. They demand answers. They create pressure that builds and builds until something breaks. Something is going to break here. I can feel it. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but the wall that's been protecting those files, the wall that Patel has been maintaining, it's cracking. Swalwell just took a sledgehammer to it. 3 minutes. That's all it took for Eric Swalwell to do what nobody else would do. To say the name. To make the connection. To demand answers that Kash Patel clearly doesn't want to give. The Epstein files and Donald Trump. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. It's a congressional record. And Patel? Patel sat there, sweating under the lights, with no answer and nowhere to hide. The truth is coming out. One hearing at a time, one document at a time, one brave senator at a time. If you're wondering where this story is going, there's only one thing you need to do. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'm going to keep following this topic, and when something develops, it will be here. Also, share this video with your friends. This conversation needs to grow. And by the way, do you know what happened before Patel blew up today? Jim Jordan. Yes, Jim Jordan asked Patel, "Where are the Epstein files?" and exposed Patel's lie live on air. If you haven't watched that video, you won't understand the whole story. Watch this video to see how Jordan cornered Patel first, and then everything Swalwell did today will make much more sense to you. Stay tuned.